I was diving into this book yesterday. New York Times bestselling author Jeff Pearlman joining us. Three-ring circus, Kobe, Shaq, Phil, and the crazy years of the Laker dynasty. And Jeff depicts what transpired between 1996 and 2004. Kobe and Shaq combined, collided, and helped bring the Lakers to 3 championships, restoring the franchise as a powerhouse. And Jeff joining us now. When did you start to approach this project?
About 3 years ago, probably. I had finished a USFL book, and I was looking for a next sort of project, and I live in Southern California. And I just thought, it's not that often you get 3 iconic characters in one subject. So when you have Kobe, Shaq, and Phil, it just struck me as a really sort of good subject to tackle.
Biggest hurdle in trying to tackle this?
I mean, Kobe wouldn't talk. So when, obviously, Kobe was alive when I was working on the book, and he was sort of, the period includes Eagle, Colorado, obviously, which is a pretty touchy subject. And I was told early on, your odds of getting Kobe Bryant to talk are not great. And that was correct. So that was probably the biggest hurdle.
And tell me the number. I think it was close to 300 people you interviewed for this book. Is it
about 300, 306, I think, maybe. Yeah.
Best interview you had out of the 300?
Oh, well, there were 2. Phil Jackson gave me, Jeannie Buss arranged the interview, and I thought I was getting an hour. And when I flew out to Montana to meet him, he greeted me and he said, I said, "Thanks, coach, for doing this." And he said, "I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for Jeannie." I thought, this isn't going to go well. And then he goes, "Let's drive around the lake." So it was a 3-hour drive around, I think, Flathead Lake, it's called. Then we stopped for lunch. Then he's like, "You want to go back to my house?" We can go back to my house. Go back to his house. We're sitting on the porch. At one point, we're sitting on the porch on rocking chairs, and his chair goes over a cat, and the cat just goes like scampers all over. And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to take a nap. So you want to get dinner later?" I was like, "Yeah, great." It was. I basically won the 8-hour like spend your day with Phil Jackson in Montana tour, raffle prize. It was great. And then J.R. Ryder was on the 2000-2001 Lakers. Remember J.R.?
Yeah, yeah. Isaiah.
Yeah. And I didn't have a phone number for him, so I only had an address. And I was going to be in Arizona. So I figured I would drive. I have a decent track record of knocking on doors. So I drove out to J.R. Ryder's house. And it was one of my most memorable moments in my career. I knock on the door, and a kid answers. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm looking for J.R. Ryder." He's like, "Hold on." A woman comes to the door. "Hey, I'm looking for J.R. Ryder. My name's Jeff Pearlman, reporter." Hold on. The door closes, and I hear 2 people yelling in the background. Like, who is this? J.R. Ryder comes to the door. He goes, "Who that for you?" "Hey, my name's Jeff Pearlman. I'm a writer." He goes, No, man. No. You just show up. You show up, bro. That's not bro. I don't think so, man, bro. No. Then he opens the door and comes out, and he's like, "Bro, I'm saying, man, that is not cool. You do not just ride up on someone's house." "What's this book you're working on?" "It's about the Lakers." He's like, "All right, I'll talk to
you." Wow. You really had to work him there to get him to open up.
My charm and good looks, it won him over.
How was Shaq?
Shaq was great. I got an hour and about 20 minutes with Shaq in Atlanta. He was fantastic. Couldn't have been better. And I'll tell you a quick Shaq story that I just loved is I was interviewing him, and in the middle of the interview, his cell phone rings. And he goes, "Excuse me." He picks his cell phone, and he's on FaceTime, and he's clearly none of this. He doesn't care that I'm there as far as this regards, but it's his daughter. His daughter says something like, "Hey, Daddy, I just wanted you to know that so-and-so," I think it was a mother of a friend of hers, died. And she said, "I just want you to know that so-and-so's mom died. It's really sad." And Shaq goes to her, he goes, I will never forget this. He goes, "Listen, I'm paying for the funeral. Make sure they know they don't have to pay for a single thing. I'm taking care of all the expenses. Just make sure they know I'm paying for it all. Okay? All right, Daddy. Thanks. I love you. You're the best. Click. Bye." So what were we talking about? It was one of the nicest 3-second moments I've ever witnessed in my life. So.
What do we clear up in this book, Jeff?
I mean, I feel like I do kind of get to the root of the relationship. I think it is awkward. Obviously, the book was written all completely before Kobe Bryant's passing. So it's kind of awkward to talk about some of it. I do think the root of the Shaq Kobe troubles kind of go on Kobe Bryant. I think it he arrived for his first team meeting in 1996 in Hawaii. Everyone's gathered around. Del Harris is a coach. All right, everyone, let's just do quick introductions. All right. Hey, I'm Nick Van Exel from Cincinnati. Hey, I'm Eddie Jones. My name's Kobe Bryant, Lower Merion. Nobody here is going to punk me. Like, that was his sort of, hey, I'm Kobe Bryant. And players are, guys are like, yeah, that did not go over well. And Shaq really wanted, through the years, this relationship. He wanted, he talked about it, the Batman Robin, the big brother, little brother. And Kobe didn't want that at all. Like, didn't want that at all. When Kobe got married to his wife, Vanessa, in Dana Point, 0 teammates were invited. Most of the teammates didn't know the wedding was happening. Most of the teammates didn't know he was even dating someone. Throughout his career, veterans were brought in one after another. Like J.R. Reed told me a great story. J.R. Reed was acquired in the Glenn Rice trade from Charlotte. And Jerry West loved J.R. Reed. He said, I really love the way you work with young players. Can you bring Kobe more into the team? J.R. Reed's like, I'm on it. I got it. They're on the plane. Yo, Kobe, why don't you come back here, play cards with us? Nah, I'm good. Yo, Kobe, we're all going out to eat. 5 of us are going out to eat. Why don't you come with us? Nah, I'm good. Yo, Kobe, we're all going to a movie. Want to go see a movie? Nah, I'm good. He actually went back to Jerry West and said, there's nothing I can do here. And I just think that relationship truly was a guy, Shaquille O'Neal, who wanted a bond and wanted to be this guy to this other guy. And another guy, and it's not a criticism of him because it's just who he was. Kobe Bryant just didn't want that. Like, he had no need for it. He didn't see it as anything he required. When he was going through the sexual assault situation in 2003, he reports to training camp. First day, he's late. And he's surrounded by reporters. And someone says, are you going to turn to your teammates for support during this time? And his actual response was, why would I do that? Like, he just was not a person who sought that or needed it. And it drove a real wedge, I think, between the two of them in many ways.
I remember being in Dallas, and the Lakers were in town. They were going to play the Mavs. Mm-hmm. And I think it was the night before, and Shaq, Rick Fox, a couple other players were out. Okay. And I approached Rick Fox, and then I said, hey, where's Kobe? And he goes, he did. And then he goes, Shaq, come here. And he goes, he wants to know where Kobe is. And Shaq goes, he don't come out. And then they started laughing like it was the craziest thing that I'd ever asked, that where's Kobe? And they said he stays in his room all the time.
Wait, I'll tell you 2 quickies. John Sally was with the Lakers for 1 year, Phil Jackson's first year. And he told me one night he got Kobe to come out in South Beach. And it was a huge win for John Sally, getting Kobe Bryant to come out in South Beach. And they're at a club. It's 10:30. John Sally is on top of the world because he got Kobe to come out. Kobe looks at his watch and he's like, yeah, man, I got to go. And John Sally's like, it's 10:30. What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, I got to work out at 5 tomorrow morning. I can't, I got to go. And then when I was with Shaq, one thing he said to me that I just thought was really kind of telling and interesting. I said to him, it was my last question I asked him. I was like, you always gave yourself nicknames, but it was jovial. It was always with a wink, it was always like Shaq Diesel and the Big Aristotle, but it was never serious. It wasn't like he was really calling himself that. And I said, and Shaq and Kobe nicknamed himself Black Mamba, but he seemed like he literally sort of viewed himself as the Black Mamba, like it was a thing to him. And Shaq he smiled and he goes, now you know what I was dealing with, bro.
He's Jeff Pearlman. The book is 3-Ring Circus, Kobe, Shaq, Phil, the crazy years of the Laker dynasty. I love the draft day story with the Nets and John Calipari. And I read it, and I was cringing that here's Calipari trying to do something in New Jersey, and he's got a chance to draft Kobe. Pick up the story from there.
Well, the Nets are going to do it. They have the 8th pick in the draft. John Nash is the general manager. John Calipari is the first-year coach. And here's Kobe Bryant. And he's a regional star. That's the other thing. Lower Merion, not that far away from East Rutherford. So they have decided, they've worked out Kobe 4 or 5 times. They love him. The one thing they did, it's funny, they screwed up something. They had to fly Kobe from his workout in New Jersey to LA. And they put him in a middle seat on a Delta flight for the flight. And his agents were not happy about that. But they love Kobe Bryant and they work him out. And the day before the draft, they call Pam and Joe, Kobe's parents, and they say, how do you feel about us drafting your son? Because Kobe was only 17 at the time. So they actually had to say to the parents like, yeah, it's great. We'd love that. He's close by. Right. So Kobe has a sneaker deal with Adidas worked out with Sonny Vaccaro that's done. And Adidas does not want Kobe Bryant playing East Rutherford for the friggin' Khalid Reed and Ed O'Bannon. They just don't want that. And Jerry and Artem, Kobe's agent, are close. And Jerry West works out Kobe Bryant twice. It's the two best workouts he's ever seen anyone give, ever. He decimated Dante Jones, and then he decimated Michael Cooper in back-to-back workouts. And he wants Kobe Bryant. So everything is working behind the scenes here. They want Kobe. Adidas want Kobe. The day before the draft, Kobe calls John Calipari and says, yeah, coach, I've been thinking about it, and I don't really want to play near my parents. I don't want to be near my parents. I kind of want to get away. So I don't really want you guys to draft me. Well, Cal, he's like in his mid-30s. This is his first draft. He's a little high energy. He goes to John Nash and he's like, oh my God, what are we going to do? He doesn't want to play for us. And John Nash is like, calm down. It's all just a ploy. Don't worry about it. Well, then Kobe's agent calls John Calipari. He's like, listen, don't draft Kobe. If you draft Kobe, he's probably going to either play in Italy for the year or sit out. He's not going to play for you. Calipari to John Nash. Oh my God, what are we going to do? This is the worst thing ever. The best moment happens. Kerry Kittles of Villanova, All-American, good player, is represented by David Falk. David Falk calls John Calipari and says, Cal, Kerry really wants to play for the Nets. He wants to stay regional. If you don't draft him, I cannot promise you that I will be having players, free agents go to the Nets. Calipari's like, holy crap, what the hell? Again, John, what are we going to do? Calm down. It's just a thing. So John Nash is convinced the night before the draft, it's okay. We're going to take Kobe Bryant. This is going to be a generational player for our franchise. The next day, Calipari holds a meeting. And the one thing in Cal's contract, he had final personnel say over his general manager. He holds this meeting. John Nash is there. And he goes, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. Kerry Kittles is on the board at number 8. We're going with Kerry Kittles. If not, we're taking Kobe Bryant. And John Nash is absolutely devastated. And as soon as the Nets announce, or David Stern announces, the Nets have selected Kerry Kittles, guard Villanova, Jerry West knows what the next 4 picks are. None of them have shown an interest in Kobe Bryant. And when Charlotte picks Bryant and they make the swap for Vlade Divac, Jerry West goes into Jerry Buss's office and says, I just got you the best player in this draft.
Oh, poor Cal. Poor Cal. If I gave you one basketball question for Kobe, what would it have been?
Oh, man. I mean, the thing I'm fascinated with him, truly, is he arrived, and this is to his credit, 1,000,000%. He arrived knowing he was going to be the next Michael Jordan. Like, it wasn't a doubt for him. There was zero doubt. He arrived knowing he was better than Eddie Jones and should be starting, and he resented Del Harris for not letting him start. He arrived knowing there should be when Del Harris was a coach, Kobe goes to him as a rookie and says, Coach, why don't you have more post-up plays for me down low? Del Harris's response is, because we have Shaquille O'Neal. Like, the confidence, the one thing I feel like I don't fully understand about Kobe Bryant, and I wish I had the opportunity, was where does that level of self-assuredness and wherewithal, and like, he didn't care what his teammates thought about him. To his credit, he didn't care. Whatever they were saying about him, he didn't care. I think one of the things that bothered him about Shaq is Shaq was sort of sitting in judgment of him, and he actually didn't sit. He didn't care. Like, it was like off his shoulder, he didn't care. And I wish I had that. I'm sure most people wish they had that. He had that ability where he was just deaf to it all. I'm here to play basketball. And I would love to understand that better than I do.
So it didn't bother him what people thought of him, but he would sit in judgment of others.
Well, I think what bothered him, there were things about, just as an example, there were things about Shaq that really bothered him. The free throw thing killed him, just killed him. I talked to Derek Harper, former Laker, longtime NBA guy, and I was like, about Shaq and free throws. And he was very blunt about it. He said, I will give you the secret to why Shaq wasn't good at free throws. And I was waiting for this big answer. And he goes, because he didn't work at it. He's like, he just didn't work at it. Like, he didn't work hard enough at it. That crap drove Kobe crazy. He did not understand how you could not hit 70% of your free throws and why you wouldn't work hard at it. So he definitely sat in judgment of Shaq with that. He definitely felt Shaq didn't work hard enough. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but he didn't feel he worked hard enough. So it was the basketball things that bothered him. But was he sitting in judgment that Shaq was off making, mediocre movies or doing this or doing that? No. He just, how does this affect me?
Yeah.
And you not shooting free throws affects me directly.
Good luck with the book. Fascinating read. Well researched as always with you, and at times it was painful to read some of the things about Kobe. A three-ring circus: Kobe, Shaq, Phil, and the crazy years of the Laker dynasty. Jeff, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Dan.
All right, Jeff Pearlman.